Granularity versus superficiality, a framework for the expression of greatness.
The men who are great live with that which is substantial, they do not stay with that which is superficial, they abide with realities, they remain not with what is showy. The one they discard, the other they hold. Lao Tzu.
Model number 1. Step 1. Learning equals growing equals better awareness. Step 2. Implementation equals execution equals better choices. Step 3. Income equals impact equals better results.
Step 1. Better learning develop growing, that form better awareness.
The beginning of transformation is the increase of perception. As you see more, you can materialize more. And once you know better, you can achieve bigger. The great women and men of the world, the ones responsible for the magical symphonies, the beautiful movements, the advancements of science and the progress of technology, started by re-engineering their thinking and reinventing their awareness. In so doing, they entered a secret universe that the majority could not perceive. And this, in turn, allowed them to make the daily choices few choose to make, which, automatically, delivered the daily results few get to experience. Heroes, titans, and icons all have a personal trait that average performers just don't show, you know. Rigor, replied the billionaire. The best in the world have depth. Members of the majority often get stuck in a mindset of superficiality in their work. Their whole approach is light. No real preparation. Very little contemplation, and then the setting of a towering vision for the desired outcome, along with patiently considering the sequencing of executions that will result in an awesome result. The 95% of performers don't invest painstaking attention into the tiniest of details and fail to refine the smallest of finishes like the great masters do. For most people, the truth is that it's all about the path of least resistance. Getting what they need to get done fast and just sneaking by. Mailing it in instead of bringing it on. The minority of exceptional creative achievers operate under a completely different philosophy. They apply a mentality of granularity instead of a mindset of superficiality. They have encoded depth as a lifetime value and exist under a profound insistence on greatness in all that they do. Exceptionalists fully understand that their creative output, no matter if they are bricklayers or bakers, chief executive officers or dairy farmers, astronauts or cashiers, represents their reputation. The best, in any endeavor, appreciate the fact that your good name is branded onto every piece of work that you release. And they get that you can't put a price tag on people saying superb things about you. But it goes deeper than social approval, the industrialist indicated. The grade of work you offer to the world reflects the strength of the respect you have for yourself. Those with unfathomable personal esteem wouldn't dare send out anything average. It would diminish them too much. If you want to lead your field, Mr. Riley went on, become a performer and person of depth, he reinforced. Commit to being a highly unusual human being instead of one of those timid souls who behave like everyone else, living a sloppy life instead of a magnificent one, a derivative life instead of an original one. I understand, the billionaire replied kindly. Less is more, you know. You're attempting too much. Geniuses understand that it's smarter to create one masterwork than 1,000 ordinary pieces.
Step 2. Implementation followed by execution, triggers better choices.
One of the reasons I love being around the finest art is that the belief systems, emotional inspiration, and ways of working of those great virtuosos rub off on me. And I can tell you with absolute certainty, these epic performers inhabited an entirely different universe than most people in business and society populate today, as I've suggested. The magnate then added, when you deconstruct how the superstars, virtuosos, and geniuses achieved what they did, you'll realize that it was their heightened awareness of the opportunities for daily greatness that inspired them to make the better daily choices that yielded better daily results. That's the power of self-education, he went on. As you become aware of new ideas, you'll grow as a producer and as a person. As you escalate your personal and professional development, the level at which you implement and execute around your gorgeous ambitions will rise. And, of course, as your ability to make your dreams and visions into reality increases, you'll be rewarded with greater income and higher impact, the magnate spoke as he tapped a finger onto step 3 of the diagram. This is why agreeing to this training with me was such a smart move. And this is what this framework here is designed to teach you. And may I say that because of the way the remarkable ones saw the world and how they behaved when it came to their crafts, and because they showed up in their lives so very differently from the way the mass of humanity operates, they were called kooks, misfits, weirdos. They weren't, exclaimed the billionaire, exuberantly. They just played at a much higher level in rare air. They brought rigor to what they did. They'd spend weeks, months, sometimes years getting the finishing touches perfect. They forced themselves to stay with the work when they felt alone or scared or bored. They persisted in the translation of their heroic visions into everyday reality when they were misunderstood, ridiculed, and even attacked. God, I admire the great geniuses of the world. I really do. The further a society drifts from the truth, the more it will hate those that speak it, offered the artist succinctly. The entrepreneur looked at him as she began to rub a bracelet on her wrist. George Orwell said that, he pronounced. And whenever you are creating beauty around you, you are restoring your own soul, the artist carried on. Alice Walker said that. The masters produce in a way that ordinary workers would label as obsessive, expounded the industrialist. But the reality of remarkability is that what the 95% of performers call picky behavior surrounding an important project, the top 5% of creators know is simply the price of admission for world class. Here, look at the model again so we can bring even more precision to your understanding around it, instructed the billionaire as he touched the diagram on the piece of silk. The majority of people on the planet today really are trapped in superficiality, he confirmed. Superficial understanding of their power to rise. Superficial intimacy with the possibilities of their potential. Superficial knowledge of the neurobiology of mastery, the daily routines of the world builders and the very ambitions they wish to prioritize the remainder of their lives around. The majority is stuck in vague, imprecise thinking. And vague, imprecise thinking yields vague, imprecise results. A quick example, ask the average person for directions and most of the time, you'll discover, their instructions are unclear. That's because the way they think is unclear, said the billionaire as he picked up a stick from the beach and pointed it toward the word granularity on the framework.
The Formula 1 example of granularity.
Legendary achievers are vastly different. They get that amateur levels of awareness will never lead to the highest grade of professional results. Another example that I hope will dial in this important insight for you too. I'm a huge fan of Formula 1 racing. I was invited to hang out with my favorite team in the pit area recently. Their attention to the slightest of particulars, their dedication to the demonstration of extreme excellence and their willingness to do whatever it took to make things great was not only validating but tremendously inspiring. Again, to the ordinary person, the suggestion of the need for an obsessive attention to the most minor of details and the importance of a ridiculously rigorous approach in their pro and private lives seems odd. But that F1 crew, their flawless calibration of the race car, their superhuman speed in executing pit stops and even the way they cleaned the pit area with an industrial vacuum cleaner after the car roared away so there wasn't even a hint of dirt anywhere was fantastic. This is my point. The top 5% go granular versus applying a superficial mindset to their daily attitudes, behaviors, and activities. Yep, remarked the billionaire. They swept and vacuumed the whole bay. And when I asked them why, they told me that if even a molecule of sediment got into the race machine's engine it could cost them a win. Or even worse, it could result in the loss of a life. Actually, any small failure of even one team member to act with precision could create a tragedy. One loose screw left by an unfocused crew member could lead to a calamity. One checklist item missed by a distracted associate might cause a catastrophe. Or one missing measurement overlooked by a squad partner leaving some of his precious attention on the phone he was playing with prior to the pit stop could cost a victory. I'm beginning to agree with you that the approach you are speaking of is important, admitted the entrepreneur. Very few business people and those in other fields like the arts, sciences, and sports think and behave like this anymore. It used to be normal, I guess. Developing high awareness around the things that we do and having a painstaking approach to making our work perfect. Refining the details. Sweating the little points. Producing with precision rather than being unprofessional and careless. Under-promising and over-delivering. Taking immense pride in our craft. Going deep and embracing, to use your words, granularity versus superficiality.
The downside of granularity.
How does this philosophy of rigor and granularity play out in personal relationships? Not well, was the candid reply of the shirtless baron. The spellbinder schooled me on a concept called the dark side of genius. Basically, the idea is that every human gift comes with a downside. And the very quality that makes you special in one area is the same one that makes you a misfit in another. The reality is that many of the great virtuosos of the world had messy private lives. The very gifts of seeing a vision few else could see, holding themselves to the absolute highest of standards, being content alone for long stretches of time as they worked monomaniacally detailing the most minor points on their projects, behaving relentlessly in following through on their masterpieces, acting with rarely seen self-discipline and listening to their hearts while ignoring their critics. Made personal relationships hard. They were misunderstood and seen as difficult and different, rigid and unbalanced. But just because your gifts have downsides to them doesn't mean you shouldn't express them, expounded the billionaire energetically. You just need to develop awareness around where they can lead you into trouble in your personal life and then manage those traps. And this brings me beautifully back to this morning's learning model that really does set the stage for everything you'll learn about the transformational value of the 5 a.m. club and how to lock it in as an enduring habit. Deasting the lemon wedges is a fine metaphor to challenge you to consistently make the shift from superficiality to granularity. Real rigor in terms of your approach to not only what you do at work but how you operate in your private life. True depth as it relates to how you think, behave, and deliver.
The Gargantuan Competitive Advantage GCA.
Healthy perfectionism and an unyielding quest to be the best that you are capable of becoming is what I'm suggesting to you two good folks here on this awesome beach. This will give you what the spellbinder calls a GCA, Gargantuan Competitive Advantage. It's never been so easy to own the sport in business today because so few performers are doing the things required to reach industry dominance. Mastery is a rarity, and people who play at a brilliant level are a scarcity. So, the field is yours. If you show up the way I'm encouraging you to show up. Here's the powerful insight: there's a ton of competition at ordinary, but there's almost none at extraordinary. There's never been such a glamorous opportunity to become peerless because so few people are dedicated to world class in this age of such scattered focus, eroded values and deteriorated faith in ourselves along with the inherent primal power we hold. How often do you meet someone at a store or in a restaurant who is fully present, astoundingly polite, unusually knowledgeable, full of enthusiasm, incredibly hardworking, intensely imaginative, noticeably inventive and gasp-worthily great at what they do? Almost never, right? Yes, acknowledged the entrepreneur. I'd have to interview thousands of people to find one treasure like this.
Step 3, income is better impact, that brings about better results.
And that's really important, you have to optimize daily. Consistency really is the DNA of mastery. And small, daily, seemingly insignificant improvements when done consistently over time yield staggering results. Please remember that great companies and wonderful lives don't happen by sudden revolution. No. They materialize via incremental evolution. Tiny, daily wins and iterations stack into outcomes of excellence, over the long term. But few of us have the patience these days to endure the long game. As a result, not many of us ever become legends. While growth as a producer and as a person can be hard, it truly is the finest work a human being can ever do. And fully remember that you are most alive when your heart beats quickest. And we are most awake when our fears scream loudest.